Big move in Bitcoin then, in contrast to all the notes I wrote pre-show, which were telling me that this was going to put Bitcoin under pressure.
The narrative that perhaps this launch of these political meme coins will sap flows from Bitcoin is showing us that it's really not the case this morning. If anything, it's just accelerated the momentum and the excitement around cryptocurrency under another Trump administration today.
Hi, Dewald. What is all this FOMO about? Should I buy Bitcoin now?
Are you smoking your socks? You should rather watch my show. You should rather watch my show.
All right, legends, let me know if you can, that's usually what I say inside of our Legends Pro community. Let me know if you can see me, hear me crispy, and then I'll continue the technical analysis, but I'm sure it's all good. It all looks good here on my streaming software. Right, legends, welcome to another live stream. Ooh, Bitcoin absolutely pumping, exploding here to the upside, and I have so much to cover today because I spent a lot of time inside of the Legends Pro community yesterday, and yesterday was such a boring trading day, absolute mess yesterday. But I mean, I'm in the long. I hope the Pro members are also in this long. Quite a couple of things that I want to discuss what happened during this entire range here, right? Tap almost claiming the low, right? And then there was a scenario that I highlighted inside of our Legends Pro community, which for me just carried the highest probability, and eventually after some patience we got the explosion here to the upside. I know that there was some bearish case scenarios, and it was quite ironic, right? Because I always say, from a technical perspective, a good technical analyst will always have a bullish and a bearish case scenario. And then yesterday I broke that rule, and I told the legends I don't see a bearish case scenario. I don't. Can we fall? Yes, we can fall. I just don't see it, because the bearish case scenarios that I do have carry such low probability, it's not worth for me to talk about them. And I'm trying to highlight high probable scenarios, okay, to make it easy, because otherwise I can just throw scenario after scenario after scenario, and then you're confused, you don't know which one's going to play out. So yesterday I only posted the high probable scenario, and that is the one that's playing out here at the moment. Right, legends, I must say, from a CVD perspective, this was an absolute nightmare from a CVD perspective. But what I decided to do during this range over here is to ignore CVD to an extent and just play the price action. It was a public holiday yesterday in the US, so I know that CVD can play tricks on you, especially during weekend price action, and yesterday felt like weekend price action. Right, Pro members, I know you are all here in the live stream. You know, okay, yesterday was quite a fun day. Lots of conversation inside the chat section, lots of scenarios that we spoke about. And Right, so some of the things is let's go, right? So what did I highlight yesterday? Yesterday, just to show you guys what I started off with is, was it this one over here? Yesterday, yes, this one over here. Right, legends, ABC to the upside. I literally had to zoom into the 15-second time frame to go and count the internal structures. It's not something that I enjoy doing. I hate the smaller time frames. It's very noisy inside of the smaller time frames, but I was expecting a move to the upside. Okay, and right, and I was expecting a corrective structure here to the downside, as you can see. And then I went on and said, well, we could be forming a larger C wave here to the upside, ABC, that could extend almost to $107,000. We'll just have to see how price develops, especially now with the structure that we're forming here to the upside. Okay, and right, then I said, okay, I'm going to talk about the scenario. Impulse for me has been invalidated because the fourth wave is, what, 11, 12 times longer than your second wave. So I'm not even looking at the scenario. So there's a bearish case scenario, but it carried such low probability. I was not expecting price to break down. And it might look scary because we tapped a 0.9 over here. Okay, we tapped the 0.9 at this little pivot. It looked like price wanted to go and claim the low, but it didn't. Okay, so the probabilities, right, and then okay, I'm going to talk about this scenario and then many others. Andy gave an update. What else? And this was the zone, right, legends, on the 5-minute time frame. You all remember this was the zone where I was looking for a long to say that I'm going to add to my position. I did not add to my position based on damn bearish CVD, but I was still in a long that I spoke about 2 days ago. I was still in that long. In this live stream, the last live stream that I did, I spoke about a long and I was still inside of that long. And guess what? I'm still inside of that long. I did not get stopped out. I'm going to show you guys. Okay. Right, legends. Andy gave an update. I gave an update. Yeah, this was basically, I told the legends, here is my average. Oops, my head's here in the way. My head's here in the way. But there's my average entry price. I'm going to go through that today. And then we spoke about some potential bearish case scenarios. And then my post this morning is to say, guys, there's a fresh daily level that formed just slightly above. We're either going to reject because it's in perfect alignment with the trend. We're either going to reject and it's a nice little shorting opportunity, or we're going to blast through, right? I was already in a position, so I wasn't planning to play the breakout, but for those of you that did get in, please remember to pay yourself on the way up. Make sure your position is protected. And right, this is also something I'm going to talk about right now. Legends, for those of you that are not part of our Legends Pro community, this is where all the action happens. This is where the conversation takes place. This is where everyone shares their P&Ls, okay, the massive amounts of profits they are making. This is where I jump into the chats as well and I show people some areas of interest that I'm looking at, some of my trading decisions. Okay, so for this weekend only, and this is the last time, most probably this year, that we are going to run a special. The team told me, Dewald, this is the last time. Right, legends, down in the description of this video, you will see I made it the first link, right? Legends community. If you take a 3-month plan, because I think it takes about 3 months to get into the swing of things and to really get education behind the belt, okay, you will get 15% discount on a 3-month plan, but you have to use my promo code DevilSummer15. Here's the link. If you want to join our Legends Pro community, well, now's your chance. This promo will end by Sunday. Done. Then there's no more specials. Okay, and this is for any new member that wants to sign up and join our family inside of our Legends Pro community. We have some great traders in there. People that really know their Elliott waves, support, resistance. We have some newbies. We have a mix of so many people, you know, educating, having those conversations. And that's also where I spend a lot of my time, is inside of the community. Right, legends, so I might not be as active on YouTube anymore, but I am sure as hell inside of the Legends Pro community, because it's nice to be surrounded with like-minded people. People that see things that you don't, because you don't know everything as a technical trader. And often, you know, you run through your trading scenarios with these little blinkers on, and sometimes you just need someone to show you something else that you didn't look at. like a scenario I'm going to discuss today that actually myself and Andy had a long little workshop brainstorming session yesterday where we were just discussing all the scenarios, and I posed the question to Andy to say that, Andy, I feel so bad I didn't highlight a bearish case scenario to the community because I just don't see it. Okay, and we brainstormed and we came up with a couple of scenarios together. And I mean, this one scenario that I'm going to share, definitely kudos to Andy for coming up with that scenario. I do really like that scenario, especially from a timing perspective, and I will get through that. Right, okay, cool, legends. Let's do a little bit of simple technical analysis. Remember to smash up that like button if you've forgotten to do so. Let's get the word out. Let's get people watching. I know that on Fridays, especially early morning here on Fridays, people don't like to watch YouTube streams. So let's get the word out there and smash up that like button so we can get the YouTube algorithm warmed up and ready to go. Hi Telma, welcome to the live stream. I will say hi to the community in a second. I see we have a, what is that project again? Gaming project. Lek Fenur. What is that gaming? Elevium. Is it Elevium? I see you have the Elevium icon over there. I actually do still have a spot bag of Elevium. Very small position, but I know it's there somewhere in a cold wallet. Right. Okay, cool legends. Let's start with the technical analysis. Okay, I want to discuss quickly, okay guys, because you know I love to educate so that you can learn to do these things by yourself. The most obvious thing, and the reason I highlighted that I struggle to see a bearish case scenario, is because of what happened here. This was my first reason. Because of what happened here, this gave me a clue. That little pivot gave me a clue, believe it or not. That little pivot. And also this confusing structure, very choppy, overlappy, you know, crossing each other. It's not an impulse. This is not a damn impulsive structure. This is a B wave, or it's an X. A very confusing structure is usually a B or a X. Right. And then from a Fibonacci perspective, this is where it became interesting for me, is if I take a fib from the low to the high, drag it across, okay, and I go and switch on my 0.9. Let's switch on the 0.9 over here. Guess what? The 0.9 is a flat target. And B waves love this target because this is a flat target. It does not have to take the low because that's also a B flat, right? But because we tapped the 0.9, I was like, okay, this is a three-wave structure, so that must be an A. This tapped a flat target, so it must be a B. What do you get after an A and a B? You get a C, right? And this is now what we're getting here to the upside. Eventually breaking out. Not an easy range to trade over here, but eventually breaking out here to the upside. Right, legends. So based on that, I was then, let me see, I'm going to have to go through a couple of scenarios here. That's one that I want to discuss. Okay, local ABC. Okay, that was the one. Local WXY, not that one. Triangle. Oof, I have so many scenarios. And this is basically what I came up with yesterday. Okay. So I can take this one out the way, just clean it up ever so slightly. I know it looks a little bit like a mess, but we are now currently getting the momentum here to the upside. So this is what I highlighted yesterday, is to say, legends, this looks like an A wave and a three-wave structure because the A is allowed to be a three-wave structure. And because of this mess and this, it looks like a B wave. So ideally, whatever happens here, you don't want this low to be claimed. Right, yesterday was a US public holiday, so it got a little bit choppy and boring yesterday. Okay, and I then counted this structure as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I said there's a chance that this is an impulsive structure in a wave 1. This is all part of a corrective structure in a wave 2, which actually extended a little bit further. And now we're getting the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, most probably in the C wave here to the upside. Right, legends. So this is now the scenario that potentially is playing out at the moment, right in front of our eyes. This is the scenario that is playing out. It is, I'm going to go through the larger time frame analysis right now. The reason, I just quickly want to highlight it. The reason this structure for me made the most sense, because whatever you analyze over here has to fit in to the previous structure. Because you could be a technical analyst that says, well, what if this is, okay, what if this is an A, B, and we're doing a C to the downside? Or what if this is an A and this is a triangle in a B and we're going to fall to the downside? You have to go and figure out, well, after you've done your analysis to say that, well, there's a chance that we can break down, how does this structure that you are analyzing in terms of the breakdown fit into the rest of the structure? Doesn't make sense. Okay, and this is why I struggled with bearish case scenarios. There was bearish case scenarios, but they carried low probability, and some of them was not invalidated, they just carried very low probability, so I didn't want to talk about them. Right, cool, legends. Price is currently, I'm going to talk about what's happening right here at the moment. Price is just consolidating, so it gives me time just to share with you my thinking process of yesterday, what we discussed in the pro community yesterday amongst ourselves. And right now, I want to see, well, how does this structure now fit into the rest of the structure? Okay, this is now what I want to get to. And I'm going to go through a couple of scenarios over here, some of which is invalidated, or we can delete most probably, and some which are still valid, just waiting for the price to load up over here. Okay, so let's go on to the 1 hour time frame. Just want to make it simple over here, and I want to look at this structure because this is the most interesting structure. By the way, I got a question yesterday in the pro community, so I'm answering this question for you. I can't remember who asked the question. Someone asked me in the pro community yesterday, Dewald, when you draw a fixed range profile, this line, this little boy, bad boy over here, why do you take it from here? Why do you not take it from here? Okay, why don't you take it from here? Or why don't you not take it from here? Or why don't you not take it from there? Because I'm going to try and explain it the best way possible, but this for me is a range. This is a range. Okay? And I'm trying to find all the price action that falls within this range. So if price is over here and I look to the left, this price action is also inside of this price action. That is how I determine the volume for this entire range. And I do not necessarily ignore this piece, okay? Because if I take the fixed range profile, for example, from this pivot, and price is trading over here, but this price action was part of what's happening here at the moment. So the best way for me to explain it, it's in the same range. So I hope I've answered your question. And I hope some other peeps have also learned from what I'm trying to explain over here. Okay, so when I take a fixed range profile for this entire range, this is now where it becomes interesting. Okay, from a volume perspective, I'm specifically interested in these little high volume nodes. Do you guys see those little high volume nodes? Here's a gap. Guys, here's a gap. And this is why price is slicing so quickly through this little gap over here. There's a gap in volume, which means price can accelerate when it hits this empty space. Okay. Then you have volume over here, which we broke out from. Okay, and then you have the point of control, and then obviously further to the downside you have more support and resistances. But just to quickly answer that question, so now what I want to look at now is this little structure. Since we've made the high, the all-time high at 100, let's say $112,000 to the T from a round number perspective. Since we made the high, what is this? Is there still a high chance to continue just sideways and eventually we go up to $130,000? Or is there still a chance to come and take this low? This is now my job as a technical analyst is, should I be building swing positions? Should I still be adding to my spot bags? Does it still make sense to buy altcoins? I have to analyze the structure to give me those answers. Okay, so let's come up with a couple of scenarios, right? Just want to see which ones I want to talk about first. Right, local ABC. Okay, that was local. That was that structure, I remember. Triangle. Okay, so here's one of the first scenarios, guys. Let's just keep it light-hearted from a bullish perspective. There's a chance, okay? This scenario has not been invalidated. This scenario does not have any mistakes from an Elliott wave perspective. And this is why I'm showing the scenario with high probability still. We have formed a 3-wave structure in a W. You have formed a 3-wave structure in an X. And now we are finishing up a Y wave. So I would expect price to still reject. Okay. Can you see where price is now? So we formed the C point over here. You were not allowed to take the low, which it did not take the low. And now it's going up where it could reject again and come back down. Also not allowed to take this low, where you're basically forming A, B, C, D, E, and then the bull market continues to the upside. The scenario still carries high probability. Right, so, okay. Since we've made the all-time high, you basically have a sideways corrective structure that then still goes and continues back to the upside. From a timing perspective, and this is something I always look at, the pro community always know, you know, Dewald is most probably going to rip out the time fib to see, well, does it make sense? So, from the all-time low, from a timing perspective, okay, let's put this in here. From the low, I need to get it exact, guys. And to that little pivot at the high. Okay, so if we do still move up and we still move down, well, now this is interesting, guys. This is interesting, okay? At least the corrective structure is finished after the 0.618, which is better. It would even be better to finish the corrective structure at the 1-to-1 extension, but the most important thing that I look at is that when we made this low, I said it's too soon. If this is the high and this is the low and people are expecting the bull market to continue over here, it's too soon, guys. It's too soon. Unless, and I remember when I did the live stream, I said, unless this is still part of the same structure and then we get the correction. Okay, but it was too soon, right? And now the price actually showed us it was too soon. Okay. The correction needs to continue because this entire impulse needs to correct itself from a timing perspective. And if this is the end, if this is the impulse and this is the end of the correction, it's too soon. Okay, right. I'm having fun here, guys. I'm having fun here. I really love technical analysis. Okay, so there's a couple of other scenarios as well. So let me go switch on some more scenarios. Oof, can take this out. I want to show everyone that one. Okay, here is another one that I discussed in my last live stream on the previous live stream. Okay, Wednesday's live stream, where I said, well, what if, okay, this is an ABC, okay, we formed the X, we have already completed the W, and now the B is in. We have a 3-wave structure in a B, and this needs to start forming impulses to the downside. And I said for the C wave to end over here after a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is incredibly short compared to how long your A wave is. Because, okay, let me just get the scribble out. Guys, relationship with structures is so important. Okay, it is very rare to have such a short C wave and such a long A wave. They need to have a relationship, a balance, if you will. Okay, the yin and the yang. The A and the C is a yin and a yang. You don't want a teeny weeny tiny little C wave and such a large A wave. The ratio didn't make sense. But I did say, if it does form a 5-wave structure to the downside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what I would like to see is a 1, 2, 3 and another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then it will start making sense when you take the balance into account. But there was a problem. Okay, and the problem revealed itself very soon, okay, when we made the flat. So when I zoom into this little structure, here was the problem. This low, okay, this low did not take the low, so it's not a 5-wave structure. And when we got the bounce over here, when we got the bounce and we started going sideways, That's where I said I'm eliminating this possibility, because your fourth wave is becoming too long in time. Because I did see there was still a couple of people, okay, on some other forums that spoke about this. Okay, we're gonna fall, right? But then from a probability perspective, okay, let's go to the 15-minute over here. Remember, there has to be a relationship between your two corrective. When you have an impulse, you have a correction. There has to be a relationship between 2 and 4. So again, I took my time fib. Guys, I love me a time fib, right? I love time because there's not many traders that trade with time. In fact, I've only seen 2 traders that use time as part of their strategies. Okay, maybe you know of someone, you can point them out here in the chat section. Okay, but if I take a time fib from number 1 to number 2 over here, the highest point, now I know how long it was, and I put it here on number 3. Now, here's your problem, guys. Here's your problem. It is common that your fourth wave is longer than your second wave. Beautiful. So when we were here at the 2 and we made this high over here and we were here at the 3, I was like, okay, it's still fine, but it needs to fall. It needs to fall, okay, quickly, and it didn't. When price eventually chopped here to the downside, which by the way is not a 5-wave structure, because in a 5th wave you have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to see a clear 5-wave structure to the downside to go and complete your 5th wave, and then we got this. So it's not an impulse, okay? Right, so guys, you cannot put your 4 over here or over here, or it's too long in time. Can you see 8, 7, 6? So for me, when I start invalidating a 4th wave from a timing perspective, because from a Fibonacci perspective, it was not invalidated. You take your fib from number 2 to number 3, okay? The 0.618 from a Fibonacci perspective invalidates your 4th wave. So we did not tap the fib invalidation, but look at how long it went. 5, 6, 7, 8, and I don't even have more numbers. 9, 10, 11, 12, you guys get the point. It's too long in time, and that's why yesterday in the Legends Pro community, I said the same thing, or yesterday already. Where was this now? Right, guys. I'm here in the chat section. This is where I spoke about it. Yesterday I said invalidated. Right, too long. This cannot be an impulse to the downside anymore, as time invalidated the 4th wave, which is more than 8 times, well, now more than 12 times longer. For me, invalidation. So at some point, you just have to say it doesn't make sense technically anymore from a timing perspective. For me, usually the invalidation is after 5. After 5, I invalidate the 4th wave. So even here, I was still giving it the benefit of the doubt. I was like, well, it needs to fall. And it didn't. It didn't claim the low. So for this C wave, you have to have a 5-wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We didn't get a 5-wave structure, which told me it's not this corrective structure that we are looking at. So I can take this all out the way. There we go. Let's go back here onto the 1 hour time frame. Right, cool, legends. So this little structure, delete. So here's one that I can delete. No more. It's invalidated. Okay. Guys, I'm going to go through some comments quickly. I see there's some nice, interesting. Dewald, what are your thoughts on the cycle ending in Q1 2026? Very interesting question. I'm going to flag your comment over there. I want to get to it a little bit later. So I will answer that question. I think this is news driven. They want the liquidity at the top to be taken before Trump's 2-week deadline to enter the war in Iran. Peter, yeah, I mean, I'm not a news trader or I'm not a news trader. I trade the technicals, and technicals often show me the path before the news comes out. Okay, so we will dive into the smaller time frames now, the 15-minute, 5-minute time frame, and we can go and analyze this in a second. I just want to quickly go and through all the larger time frame scenarios, okay, and then we can go and analyze this. How high is it potentially still going to go? Is it going to go up, or is it going to reject by the trend and come down again? Okay, so we're going to go and assess that in a second. Right, legends, let me carry on with the technical analysis. That is why you are all here. Okay, so now let's go through some more scenarios, trends. This one has been invalidated. Okay. And there was a problem. Can you guys see how low probability scenarios get invalidated? Okay. This one has been invalidated because of this. Okay. Just look at the probability. Why did I put a question mark? Can you guys remember this? Why did I put a question mark over here? And I said, guys, I don't like this scenario because of this. It's not invalidated, but it carries low probability. So we should have seen price break down. Okay, you could even say, well, this was your structure. So price should have broken down in a C wave, and it didn't. And the reason the scenario carried low probability was because of the following. A B wave, this little B over here, okay, if I take to measure the B wave target, you take it from the bottom of A, so this is the bottom of A, to the top of A, you drag your fib across and you reverse it to show your B targets to the downside. Right, we tap the 1.618, which is a very, very rare B wave target. It doesn't invalidate a B flat. A B flat takes the low. Okay, you have an A, B that takes the low, and that's what we call a B flat. It takes the low. Or it taps the 0.9. Minimum flat target is the 0.9, almost claiming the low. But this is the 1.382 is your maximum B flat target. Even if it turned around before the 1.618, but it did not tap the 1.618, I would have given the scenario higher probability. But because of this, okay, I was looking at an ABC and a W, an ABC and an X, and now we're forming another ABC in a Y wave where we're going to come down to $97,000. And this was the problem. It wasn't an invalidation, but it lowered the probabilities. Okay, so now another one for the dustbin, because this one also didn't play out. Right. Dustbin, there we go. Get it out the way. No longer valid. Right. And this is how now you start having less scenarios, because I started with a bunch of scenarios 2 weeks ago. I had so many scenarios that could play out, and now as price is developing, I can start deleting until I have 1 or 2 scenarios for me that carries the highest probability, and then I trade those 2 scenarios. Takes patience, lots of patience, and a lot of work to analyze these structures. Okay, but let's see what else is here. Right, there's still this scenario. Let me see. Okay. Just want to see A, B. Okay, so this could be your A. This is your B. And this is now your C here to the upside. Yeah, still valid. Must say, this scenario is still valid. It's still unfolding. Okay, so you've formed, let me just quickly go through the structure. You formed an ABC in a W. You formed a X, ABC and a W, then an X in a complex corrective structure. Another ABC in a Y. That makes sense. Okay, it's allowed to tap the 1.618. Then you have another X here to a W here to the upside in an ABC. W, and then you have a complex corrective structure in an X, and now you're forming an A, B, C here to the upside, which could form a flat and claim the highs. And this is why I have this box. Yeah, guys, this is the scenario that I have been talking about quite often. So this scenario is still intact. Okay, this scenario is still intact, where you could go and claim the high. Okay, so just look at the larger structure. Let me make this one nice and thick. This is the one that I'm talking about. Okay, so in order to get this 3-wave structure, look how complex corrective structures can be. In order to get a 3-wave corrective structure, look at the mess inside that you have to analyze to get the structure to balance. Okay, so still valid, guys. This one is definitely still valid, where you have a wave in a WXY. And then you have basically a 3-wave structure in a B. Okay, and now once you claim this high, or you don't even have to claim the high because the minimum target is the 0.9. This is why I have this box over here. Unfortunately, and this is the crap thing about a B wave, is they have many targets. They are incredibly difficult to trade, even from an Elliott wave perspective. Usually, some Elliotticians, when they know you are inside a B wave, they just won't trade. They refuse to trade a B wave because they are very messy and very unpredictable. And they have so many targets. Okay, so I've just put a box over here because these are the most common B flat targets over here. So from the 0.9 fib, when you take a fib from the high to the low, all the way up to the 1.382 at $116,000 is B flat targets. Okay, so anywhere in this zone, B flat can decide, okay, I've had enough. People are bullish enough, right? I'm going to roll down and come gun for this low back to the downside, which is still a beautiful 3-wave structure. And I think what's nice for me about this structure is, again, if I go here onto the 4-hour time frame, okay, and I look at the low from a timing perspective, from the low to the high of the structure, well, now this becomes really interesting, because then you're starting to create almost a perfect relationship between your impulse and your correction. You have a 1-to-1 extension from a timing perspective, which means that your correction and your impulse took the same amount of time. So if your impulse took a month, it means your correction took a month. This is what this 1-to-1 extension means. Okay, so I cannot, unfortunately, rule out the scenario just as yet. Right. So still valid. I can't delete that one. It is a sexy from a timing perspective, I must say. It's really sexy from a timing perspective. Where is... Okay, let's go. This one. Really sexy from a timing perspective, I must say. But then you also have that the WXY that could... Yeah, I don't even want to talk about this one anymore, but I'll get to that one. Support resistances we're going to talk about now. Okay, I'm going to talk about that local structure. Okay, this is the one we've just spoken about. That one I want to leave there from an education perspective. Okay, then we've got the point of controls and so forth. Okay, so guys, this is now where it becomes interesting. So you have the Y triangle. Okay, but you can see even in this scenario, which is the most bullish case scenario compared to... Gosh, where is that one now? Right, guys, I need to put them together. Let me put them together. Right, so this one compared to this one. Do you see the difference? This one is still bullish versus bearish. Okay, it means that we could still go and claim the high, make the world bullish. The bull market is back, and then you just fall like a rocket to the downside in a C wave. Okay, and then we have the more bullish case scenario, which is lost my space. Please forgive me. Right, guys. Right. Then you have the more bullish case scenario, which is we do not take this low. You build a triangle in an A, B, C, D, E, and then you shoot to the upside. In this scenario, price has to reject by the trend. Okay. So there's a couple of clues that I can look for based on both scenarios. There's a couple of clues that I can look for, and I will discuss it here in my live stream, especially with the Legends Pro community. There's a couple of clues that I can watch for in terms of, well, is this scenario getting invalidated, or is now the other scenario starting to carry higher probability? Okay. So, Legends, those are basically the scenarios. There's another scenario which Andy came up with. Absolute legend. Okay, this is why I like to brainstorm things with Andy as well. There's another scenario. This one still looks nice and bullish. Okay, so we're still potentially going up here. Okay, you reject here by the trend. You come down for an E. And then this breakout is going to be very, 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 very interesting. Okay. And I mean, if you can catch this low, that would be amazing, right? That would be amazing. And but now there's another scenario. Just to throw a spanner in the works, you say, like, Dewald, you've now discussed all of these damn scenarios. Which one is going to play out? Well, at the moment, there's only two that I think has the highest probability. At the moment, there's only two. It is this one. Oh, sorry. It is this one and this one. There's only two scenarios, guys. We've invalidated all the other scenarios. This one and this one. And then Andy threw a spanner in the works and he said, Dewald, what about this? I was like, why did you show me this? Because I know it balances perfectly. It looks great. Damn, son. Why, oh, why? Okay, there's another scenario. And I think this is a very confusing scenario, but it's also a very valid scenario where your X wave is forming the triangle. You have an ABC in W. You have an ABCDE. Guys, important zone. Can you guys see? But I'm still looking at the same target, both for the Y corrective structure. So both for this one over here. Can you guys see? So for this scenario, for the bull market to continue, you want a successful breakout. You want a successful breakout at this trend. For this bearish case scenario, you want a rejection. Okay, so that's going to be a very interesting shorting opportunity. If you can get in with good risk management, swing failure patterns, daily levels, weekly levels, Fibonacci levels, it's going to be very interesting. But then there's this scenario where you have formed your three-wave structure in your W. You have an A, B, C, D, E in an X. Okay, because X's can also make triangles. And in actual fact, from the research that I've done, it is more common for an X wave to form a triangle than for a Y wave. Okay, after you complete your X wave, the most common structure after a X has formed a triangle is a flat in a Y wave. What does a flat mean? You go down for an A, you grab all of the liquidity, knocks them out. You go back up, oh, bull market's back. You grab all of the liquidity above the E point over here. So it's a flat, grabs liquidity, and then it has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave structure to the downside to complete your C wave. So it's basically an A, B, C. And you're looking at around, okay, the 1-to-1 extension target that I have over here is around about $96,000. But also from a timing perspective, it is sexy, okay? It is really sexy. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of good news. In a moment, I'm going to give you some good news, okay? So from a timing perspective, I mean, you can't ask for more perfect timing ratios, okay? Look at that, 1-to-1 extension, right? This Y wave target has 786, 1-to-1, 1.382. Okay, this is the zone where it needs to find support. A Y wave is not allowed to tap all. It's very rare, you know, like we said over here when the B flat hit the 1.618, very rare for a Y wave to hit the 1.618. So maximum target needs to be the 1.382 at, let's just give it a round number, $92,000 needs to be the maximum target. If this plays out, okay, so now for the good news, guys. And I'm literally putting my reputation here on the line. Now for the good news. Right, so based on this scenario, okay, do you guys see the common thread? Okay, let me give you the whole real estate over here. Do you see the common thread? Right. Is that whatever happens over here, I'm still looking for all-time highs to be claimed before we claim the low. So from a spot perspective, sorry guys, I'm losing my voice, but maybe it will come back. So from a spot perspective, from a swing trading perspective, all the positions that I still have open on Link and ICP and Litecoin, whatever the case might be, for me, the hardest job as a technical trader is that after the price has made a high, is to determine what on earth is this. Because if this is corrective, which means you're not going to take out the low, you are still going to take out the high, regardless of how low we go. Okay. From a technical perspective, it gives me the ammunition that I need to build positions, whether I should be taking profits, whether I should be looking for better entries, whether I should just be adding in every single dip. I'm not going to tell what you need to do, but I can tell you what I am doing. Okay, I still have my swing positions open on some of my altcoins, and I can tell you guys now, if we do get this low over here, now that is going to be a very, very interesting area from a swing and a spot perspective. Okay, this is where I'm going to get very aggressive, guys. I still have a lot of dry powder. I have not deployed as much cash as I wanted to. I think I still have about 80% dry powder, maybe 75% dry powder. And I can tell you guys now, if I get this from a technical perspective, I'm going to go in hard, right? And I can just imagine the fear over here. There's going to be a lot of fear. There's not going to be a lot of people that's going to buy there because, you know, price goes down, fear kicks in, no one wants to buy. Right, so legends, very, very interesting scenarios. Okay, so some to pay attention to. Now, what we can do now is let's go and zoom into this little price action over here. Right now, based on all the scenarios that I've just discussed, you now more or less know where I'm looking for that rejection. Okay, so let me first go through some comments and then we can discuss, well, now what is happening over here on the 15-minute time frame. Right, let's just zoom into the structure, get it ready. Let me go through some comments. Smash up the like, legends. Yes, if you haven't done so already, remember to smash up that like button, legends. I also mentioned Mr. Crypto Big Braids. I know that you're part of the community. Marihela, you're part of the community. I know some of you have different usernames, so I don't recognize all of you. I know there's a lot of pro members in here, but for this weekend only, I just want to stress it. For this today, tomorrow, and Sunday, it's the last time that we're going to have discount for this entire year. Okay, the team told me this morning, Dewald, here's your discount code, right? That's it. That's the last discount for this year. You can sign up to our Legends Pro community with 15% discount by using my promo code. Okay, here's the link. Once you check out, you enter my promo code, you'll get 15% discount on a 3-month plan. The reason I put the 15% on a 3-month plan is because it takes about 3 months to start really getting a grasp of what we are all talking about, the education that I provide, build relationships with the people inside of the community, okay? It takes about 3 months, so 15% discount only for today until Sunday, and then no more discount for the rest of the year. So guys, go and take advantage of this special deal. You will see a lot of me inside of the Legends Pro community. This is where I provide all the scenarios first, myself and Andy and the coaches. We've got Aiden. We have fundamentalists. Okay, you guys like fundamental stuff. We have some we have some really interesting alpha here. Joy, one of our researchers, provides degen tokens, looking at Ethereum, the altcoin ecosystem, new meme coins, like the list just goes on. He does comparisons. Okay, we've got our Bitcoin analysis where myself and Andy just provides all the trading setups. We've got altcoin setups and analysis. Right, advanced setups like swing failure patterns, right, easy setups like breakout strategies where people are sharing their P&Ls. Mr. Gameboy Advanced over here is an absolute sniper when it comes to altcoin trades. So if you don't like to trade Bitcoin, but you're more like a small little altcoin trader, up and down, you know, breakouts, breakdown, here's the section that you want to be in. This is where people share their money shots, right? And hopefully people share their losses as well, because I do see that, you know, people don't like to share losses, but I have seen that when people do share losses, it's small little percentages that they lose. Okay, here was a nice little big loss over here, but right, most of it is wins. Most of it is wins, right, legends? So quite a nice little community that we have over here. I spend a lot of time here inside of the Bitcoin and altcoin chat section. Okay, this is where I spend a lot of my time in having conversations, building relationships with the people, looking at different scenarios. IKA, she's really, he or she, I'm not sure, meow. Really good, great technical analysis over here as well. You know, it's nice to see how the community is also putting brain power together and building up those scenarios, right? Anyways, legends, so if you like to join our Legends Pro community, here is the discount code. Okay, promo code for this weekend only, 15% discount. Right, now, if I don't lose my voice completely, let's go and analyze this structure. Just quickly looking at the chart, looks like a retracement coming. Now, it is rejecting at a very interesting level. So if I quickly, let me just take the comment out. You know, you guys know me by now. You know me and trend-based fibs. Okay, so if this is an A and this is a B, well, I know where that C can go. So if this is A and this is B, I drag it across. It most probably, if I'm looking at it over there, it looks like it rejected at the 1.382. Let's go check it out. Reverse. Ooh, look at that, right? These trend-based fib levels, guys, hey, they are powerful. Look at that, right? Remember, guys, if this is an A, this is a B in a three-wave structure in A, you can measure your C-wave targets. Look at that, right? Beautiful rejection at the 1.382. No reaction at the 1. Well, small little reaction at the 786, but this is where it got rejected. Okay, but it can still go a little bit higher. It can still go higher because, I mean, C-wave targets can go to the 1.618 and it can go easily to the 2 extension. Okay, just have to highlight that as well. But now, what is most important to me is I want to see where's the most amount of volume that can provide resistance. Because although we got the rejection here at the 1.382, this is potentially an opportunity for a pullback and a continuation to the upside. Maybe it forms a nice little trend and you play the breakout. Trading opportunity. Okay, because there's been many breakouts during this little range over here. Okay, of which one yesterday, that was one that I highlighted inside of our community as well. I unfortunately went to bed. Okay, so something quickly that I wanted to highlight inside of this structure, because I got a lot of questions about it, is that I was looking at a long over here, guys. Do you remember in the last live stream, I told everyone that I'm looking for a long over here. Trend-based fib, let me replay the scenario. Okay, price was falling here to the downside in my last live stream, and I told everyone that I bought a little bit over here. I entered with 0.5% of my capital. I knew that there was a high chance that this low is protected. So this is where I entered with 0.5% of my capital. And then I said, if price hits the 1.618, I will deploy the remainder of my capital, which I did at the 1.618. Okay, so my average entry is there. There's my average entry. So this is what I shared with the Legends Pro community yesterday as well. Is to say, guys, I'm still in this damn trade, right? Because this, do I still have that? Let me see if I still have it. Yeah, here we go. That was the trade that I highlighted. Okay, so my stop is below the low, or literally glued to the low. I entered over here and I entered over here, which gave me an average entry price of 104,055. That's my average entry price. Okay. When price pumped yesterday, so I was looking at this breakout over here. We were all looking at this breakout over here. And I told everyone, watch for the breakout. And then when price came back for the retest, I thought, because I told, when we broke out, I told the legends, I'm protecting my position. So what I did over here is I did this. I put my stop loss at my entry. I went to bed, okay, spent some time with family, and then this dip happened. This happened, and it looks like, you know, when you look at it like that, it looks like I got stopped out. Almost, right? Can you see? Almost got stopped out. Like, very close, right? But this was where I told everyone I want to add a little bit more to my position. Okay, I didn't add more to my position because I was already in a trade over here. I was already 1% in. I didn't mind adding another percent. Okay. Right, so I did not get stopped out. I was still in this trade that I highlighted on Wednesday. I'm still in this trade from Wednesday, and now eventually we hit my TP1 area. Okay, so I took some profits by the highs, and I'm leaving some open for the next level that I'm going to share with everyone. Okay. Obviously, what I've done now, guys, is, you know, you have to de-risk yourself. I've now moved my stop loss below this low, and I have taken profits at the highs. So if price by some reason just smashes down here, I have this profits in the bag, and I will still not get stopped out with fees. Okay, so my fees are paid, guys. My fees are paid, right? I must say I did not sleep well the last couple of days. And not because I'm stressed, not because I risk too much capital. I just do not like to leave day trades open. Okay. Anyways, I left that day trade open. Stop below the low. It's now protected. I have now taken profits at the highs. I wish I did add here, but I did not. Okay, or yeah, I wish I did add here because, I mean, that was a beautiful retest. And yesterday, we were waiting for this retest for so damn long. I deleted those trend lines and things that I was looking at, but I mean, it was, if I can repaint the scenario, it was basically a trend over there, right? There was the one trend. I was basically tracking this as a potential contracting diagonal. This is what I was looking at, and this is what I shared with the Legends Pro community yesterday. There was another area down here. I was waiting for that zone, right? I was waiting, myself and a couple of other people inside of the pro community. We were waiting for the 786. Let me just keep it simple. There was also a 1.618 level there. If you do A, B, C, there's a 1.618 level over here. And then we front run it. We front run that level. But there was loads of bearish CVD. Believe it or not. And the CVD, like, you know, it didn't give a lot of confidence for the trade. But then eventually we broke out and we came back for the retest. Beautiful. I almost got stopped out. But I told everyone, this is where I want to add a little bit more to the position. I wanted to add another 1% to the position of my portfolio. I didn't, but at least I was still in that trade. And now happy days here to the upside. Okay, right. So now, legends, let me take this out the way. Let's go back here onto the 15. No, okay, I want to go to the 30-minute time frame, and I want to show you guys something over here. Okay, if I zoom into this little structure, okay, this is now where it becomes very important, and I switch on the VRVP. Okay, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Now that for me is obvious areas of resistance, big areas of resistance. At the moment, the reason price sliced so easy through this zone is because there's no volume. That's why it sliced through this zone so easy. So from a simplicity perspective, one could argue, okay, if I look at this volume, if I put price here where the volume is, okay, it could potentially now bounce here on the volume, okay, form a little bull flaggy, okay, and break out again to the next area where volume starts again. But this is the zone where I am going to be really paying attention to, where we have the first high volume node. Okay, and it so happens that that high volume node aligns with a FIB retracement from the high to the low. Okay, if I drag it a little bit closer to the price action, can you guys see? It aligns with the 786. Beautifully. So there's a chance, okay, this is now building impulsive structure here to the upside, and there's a chance for a rejection in this zone. this is where I'm going to be paying attention for a potential short, because you also have that trend line. X marks the spot, guys. That is where we're either going to break out and continue the bull market, which I don't think, but even in the most bullish case scenario, I would still expect another retracement. Because, let me show you guys this one. Even in this bullish, the most bullish case scenario, I still expect another retracement. Okay, even if you reject over here, it's not likely you're just going to smash out here, because you still need E. You still need E, right? This is now potentially only forming D here to the upside. Okay, this is now busy with D over here. Okay, so from a volume perspective, you can see how interesting this high volume node is. So there's a chance that price is still going to continue here to the upside until it hits the trend. Okay, when price hits the trend, the 786, it's going to be an interesting zone to pay attention to. Okay, if I am still in this long that I am in right now from a moon, and I have left a moon bag open to the upside, okay, because I am paying myself. I took profits here by the highs, and I'm going to take profits by the 0.618, and I'm most probably going to close my position at the 786 if we do get there. And this is where I'm going to be looking for shorts. Right. Okay. So just wanted to keep it simple from a volume perspective, legends, is that there's a chance that the structure can still continue until it starts hitting some significant volume. But yep, by the 0.618, you guys can see there's also a little donkey, a little volume node over there. So it's not to say that you have to come and reject by the trend, okay? Because remember, guys, what I have seen play out in the past, where market makers really try and confuse people, is if I switch the scenario back on, okay? I just want to make something very clear. You could have a D wave that ends over there. You could even have an E that ends over there. Your Y then ends over there. They can make it really difficult, okay? Where you have formed your A, B, C, D, E, and you break out. So definitely still a zone to pay attention to. I'm not just going to put limit orders here for shorts, guys. I'm not going to just put limit orders there, right? Because you could fall down here, form your E, your D is in, and then you break out to go and continue the bull market here to the upside. I don't want to have limit orders and then I get liquidated over here. So I will still be paying attention and applying my good risk management when we get to those levels. Right. Case. What's good, Jack? To see you. AI, can you get it on Legends Discord server? Okay. Dewald, can you show us how to get CVD like you have it? Right. So for CVD, the way that I have it over here is you need to join our Discord community. Okay. That we have a free section as well. And one of the mods will share the script. Just ask for the CVD script and one of the mods will share it with you. Okay. And then your CVD will look exactly like mine. Right, the website is called AGGR, charts.aggr. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. Okay, that's the name of the website. So if you do go to the website and you type, it won't look like this. You have to import the script. Okay, I don't mind sharing that script with everyone. I really don't mind. Okay, but for the Legends Pro, the Pro Legends over for the Pro community, they do get access to my tutorial, my CVD tutorial, where I go into a lot of detail in terms of how to actually use it properly. I think it's here inside of the trading tools. Okay, lots of alpha. Here we go. Right. Here's my video that I've made for the CVD tutorial to show you exactly how it works. If you guys want to join, 15% discount only for this weekend. Right, so legends, this is now basically what I'm looking at. Okay, I just want to undo all of these things because I mean there's still a high chance you're going to come back up. I'm now too lazy to go and drag it back, so I just do undo over here. There we go. Right, okay. From a simplicity perspective, guys, if I put on my support and my resistance, okay, you will see how my support and resistance also aligns with the Fibonacci levels. This is why this breakout this morning was so significant. We needed to smash through resistance. Okay, so if you want to still take advantage of this long, you could say, okay, we have broken out of resistance. Can you guys see the wall of volume over here? 0.382. Price has smashed through with high volume. So what do you, once you've done an RS flip, you flip resistance into support, okay? You wait for price to come back to this zone. Hopefully it builds that nice little, the easiest way to get into this trade is that you want a nice little trend to form on the smaller time frames. You want to see this happen. Okay, you want to see this happen. Sometimes it grabs a little bit below, but then you have that beautiful trend and you play the breakout because you are finding support and you're flipping resistance into support. Next area, 0.618. The reason I don't have a red box at this level is because from a volume perspective, the 786 has way more volume. Okay, you can see 786 has way more volume. So I will be paying attention to the 618, make no mistake. But from a proper rejection perspective, I do see price still climbing a little bit higher until you hit proper resistance. Okay, so, right, there's always another way to get back into the trade. Always another way, okay? This is just not a place where I FOMO into a trade. Okay, I just don't FOMO into trades, legends. I acknowledge the breakout, and if I'm playing a trend line strategy, I have to wait for the trend to form. So you have to be patient. Myself in the Legend Pro community actually spoke about patience yesterday. God damn, you have to be patient. Like yesterday was such a boring trading day. Just waiting. Myself and one of the pro members, I remember we were waiting. Where was it? Inside of this little zone over here. I remember we were waiting, okay, for this damn 786. Because, I mean, as a technical trader, I want the best entry. Okay, as a technical trader, you just want the best of the best entries. Right? We were waiting for this damn 786. I was waiting for this 786. I just knew that that's going to be the best entry. And then look at that. Right? Look at that. But then we had the breakout. But this breakout happened so quickly. I remember I was sitting on the couch. I was in the kitchen or somewhere. The alarm went off. I ran to my PC. And by the time I got to my PC, price was over here. There's just no ways I FOMO into a long. I was just like, not FOMing. And then I told the legends, let's wait for the pullback. We got the pullback, okay, and then we broke out. Right, legends, remember to smash up that like button. And that is basically what I have today, guys. I don't have much else, right? I really don't have much else. I just want to see here from a trend-based FIB perspective. A, B, okay. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so, I mean, I like this 1.618. You guys know, 1.618 always a magic number for me, okay? But you can see that the trend extension is being respected. Look at that beautiful rejection at the 1.382. What I have seen is that, okay, because this now could be, guys, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. It has a chance to go and hit that level. If this is a proper 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, okay, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, it has the chance to get here, right? And I have seen that C waves also love the 2 extension, because sometimes, often what happens is you get your third wave in your, that hits the 1.618. So let's say this is 1, this is 2, and now this is busy still with a third wave here to the upside. So this is 1, this is 2, that creates 3. You then create your 4 and your 5. Right, 2 extensions, 786. So it's nice to see the technical alignment. Okay. Right. Dewald, patience is money. Stefan 1, yes, definitely. Patience is money, my man. Always appreciate your support here on the channel, your positive energy. Always love to read your comments, Stefan 1. There's a daily level with that 0.618. Oh, yes. Thanks for pointing that out. Dinesh, I actually forgot to go through my levels. Okay, there is a daily level to need to pay attention to. Okay, you have to remember, guys, the trend is up. And it's in your best interest to look for longs. If you do want to short the uptrend, okay, you have to be very selective and you have to know what you are doing. Okay, because yes, there's a daily level at the 0.618. So, and that 1.618 slightly above. So it could mean that price taps that level and it falls down for a deeper correction, but it can go up again. But you can take advantage of these small little retracements. Okay. So definitely an SFP level to pay attention to. Definitely. Okay, I'm somewhere going to put my alarm over there. So if it taps it, I want my alarm to go off. So I can pay attention. Right, legends. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. My voice is really burning here, or my throat is burning here at the moment. So I'm going to call it for the day. Remember, for this weekend only, 15% discount for our Legends Pro community. I hope to see you inside. Okay, we have an absolute amazing community, like-minded people, loads of conversations, funs, jokes, okay, serious stuff obviously as well. Have yourselves an amazing weekend, and until the next one, cheers for now.